Ring doorbell. New build. Before you watch this, check the timestamp on your last Ring notification. Go on, I'll wait. Because 3 weeks ago, a family in a brand new housing estate opened their app to a clip labelled 3 weeks before move-in day. Scaffolding, bare concrete, a skip bin, and standing exactly where their front door would eventually go, a figure, upright, still, facing the camera that didn't exist yet. This is their story. And by the end of it, you're going to wish you hadn't checked your own app. Meet the Hargreaves. Tom, Priya, and their 8-year-old daughter, Ivy. Plot 14, Aldergate Rise. A brand new estate of 30 identical houses. Built fast, sold faster. The kind of place developers love to call an exciting new community. They moved in on a Tuesday in March. Fresh paint smell, plastic still on the carpets. And, bolted above the front door, the first thing Tom installed, before the sofa even came off the van, a Ring doorbell. Better safe than sorry, he told Priya. Neither of them knew yet just how right and how wrong that sentence was about to become. The first week was ordinary. Boxes, takeaway dinners on the floor, Ivy naming her new bedroom the castle. Then, on the 9th night, Tom's phone buzzed at 2:47 a.m. Motion detected. He almost ignored it. He didn't. The video loaded slowly. Their new estate's Wi-Fi still wasn't great. And when it finally played, it wasn't his street. There was no tarmac, no streetlights, just churned mud, scaffolding poles laid out in the moonlight like ribs, and a paper sign zip-tied to a fence post that read, "Site entrance. Hard hats must be worn." Time-stamped in the corner, in small white text, 3 weeks before move-in day. Their house hadn't even had walls yet. Tom's first thought was almost a relief. It's just old footage, a glitch. The camera probably shipped with someone else's file on it. He called Ring support the next morning. They checked the logs. The clip had been recorded, live, in real time, at 2:47 a.m. that very night. Not stored, not cached. Recorded. "That's not possible," the support agent said. Then, quieter, almost to himself, "We've actually had 2 other calls this month. Same estate." He hung up before Tom could ask what he meant. For a while, the Hargreaves tried to forget it. New house, new job for Priya, Ivy starting at the local school. Life doing what life does, papering over the cracks with routine. But the clips kept coming. Always at night. Always the same construction site. Scaffolding, mud, that handwritten sign. But every week, something in the footage was different. Week 2, the scaffolding had grown a second story. Week 3, a figure appeared at the edge of the frame, distant, small, facing away. Week 5, it was closer. Week 7, it was standing exactly where their front door now stood, upright, unmoving, facing the camera. Priya wouldn't say it out loud, but she started double-checking the deadbolt every night. Not because of the footage itself, but because of how still the figure was. People don't stand that still. Not for that long. Not without breathing. It was Priya, not Tom, who finally dug into the estate's history. Land registry records, old planning applications, a council meeting transcript from 11 years earlier, buried in a PDF nobody had opened in a decade. Aldermore Rise wasn't just farmland before the houses went up. In the 1870s, it had been the site of a Victorian workhouse, the kind where the poor, the sick, and the abandoned were sent to labour until they died there. Records showed over 200 unmarked burials on the grounds before it was finally demolished in 1938. And in that buried council document, one line, flagged and then quietly ignored. Site testing indicates elevated contamination levels inconsistent with standard residential development. Recommend further geological and historical survey before construction proceeds. The recommendation was dated. The construction start date was 3 months earlier. They built anyway. Priya sat in the dark kitchen at midnight, laptop glowing, and felt something she couldn't explain. A certainty that the ground beneath her new home hadn't forgotten what had been done to it. Here's the part that should never have made sense, and the part that once you hear it, you won't be able to unhear. An old university researcher Priya emailed out of desperation, a man who studied electromagnetic anomalies at former industrial and institutional sites, gave her an answer that was somehow worse than a ghost story. He called it residual electromagnetic imprinting. Sites of prolonged human suffering, asylums, workhouses, hospitals where the same trauma repeats itself thousands of times in the same location, can, under rare geological conditions, leave a kind of imprint. Not a soul, not a haunting in the way we imagine it. Something closer to a recording that was never meant to be played back. And digital sensors, infrared, motion-triggered, always listening, are exactly the kind of device that can accidentally tune into it. The contamination the council flagged wasn't chemical. It never had been. It was the ground itself, still holding on to something. And their brand new doorbell, bolted directly above the exact plot where, the old maps showed, the workhouse's entrance gate had once stood, was picking it up, clearer, every week. Tom wanted to move. Priya wanted proof first, something to take to a lawyer, to the council, to someone who'd listen. So on the 9th week, when the notification buzzed at 2:47 a.m. exactly, like it always did, Tom didn't ignore it. He opened it. No scaffolding this time. No mud. The footage matched their actual actual porch, their actual welcome mat, their actual pot plant Priya had bought from the garden centre. Present day, present night. And standing on the doorstep, close enough now that the infrared caught its face, was the figure. Not blurred, not distant. A gaunt man in ragged Victorian-era clothing, workhouse thin, staring directly up into the lens with eyes that reflected the infrared light back, like an animal's. And its mouth was moving. No sound. Just the same 3 words over and over that Priya would later have a lip-reading app painstakingly confirm. Let me in. Tom's hand was already on the deadbolt, already turning it, already checking it was locked, the way you check a locked door 20 times when you know somewhere in your gut that a lock was never really the thing keeping it out. Because the timestamp on that final clip wasn't 2:47 a.m. It was 2:47 a.m. tomorrow. The Hargreaves moved out 6 days later. The house on plot 14 has been relisted twice since. Both times, the sale fell through before completion. No official reason given. If you live in a new build, you might want to check your app's activity history tonight. Not the motion alerts, the timestamps. Because some ground doesn't forget what happened on it. And some doorbells were never really watching the street. They were watching whoever was already standing there, waiting for someone to move in. If this one got under your skin, subscribe, because next time I might be telling the story of what happens after someone finally